gears here briefly on a more somber note. Got the news this morning from Ira that a voice that you've heard from time to time, occasionally on these airwaves, over the how many years have I been on the airwaves here? Gee, freaking whiz.
Exactly.
On the morning show, 18, 19 years now. But I know on the radio here off and on for 21 years now, Captain Jim Conley has been on a number of times. Got the news this morning that Captain Jim Conley passed away. And so Greg Dooley, our resident Michigan football historian, Professor Dooley, you also hear him on The Professor and the Pundit, has come by to pay proper eulogy to Captain Jim Conley. And so, Dooley, how are you this morning? First of all, good morning.
Heavy heart, lots of thoughts, very reflective, a lot of great memories of this man. I got to know him on, his story on the field, got to tell that story, but also got to know him off the field. And we use the word family so much, Sam. We lost a legend in the Michigan football family, not only a historic figure for what he and his team did on the field, but his impact on this community, the legacy he left with his family, his beautiful wife, Anna, his kids, Robbie and Rachel, my man, Timmy Adams, his godson, and so many out there that he touched. So a heavy heart, but the way he was, he was larger than life, Sam. He lit up the room. And for those of you who don't know his story, we talk so much about football. Let's start there. A somewhat forgotten team by many people. A lot of people feel like Michigan football history starts with Bo. He was the captain of the 1964 team, and great Michigan football teams are defined, Sam, by Big Ten championships and Rose Bowl wins. If you look back at our great teams, and they did that in arguably, to me, the fiercest era of Big Ten competition out there. They put Michigan back on the map, a return to the Rose Bowl after over a decade off, put Michigan back in its rightful place. And are they amongst the great Michigan football teams? Absolutely. Consider, Sam, beat Duffy Daugherty in East Lansing, beat Dick Butkus's great Illinois team, beat the reigning Heisman Trophy winner in Roger Staubach in Navy. Yes, beat Woody Hayes in Columbus, Ohio. Smashed Oregon State 34-7 in Pasadena. That's what the team did, and this is the sole captain of that team, right? This is back when they didn't name multiple captains. The other thing they did is they named captains back in the day. They named them after the season. In this case, I believe after the spring schedule. So you had all summer to know who your captain were and who your leaders were. And this is a man, if you know Bump Elliott, he was a great leader. He was a great coach. He was a great player here at Michigan. He went on to be one of the great athletic directors at Iowa. But he wasn't that loud. He spoke through actions, not words. So you needed people to change the culture here at Michigan behind the scenes. And I widely give credit to this man for doing that because he was effectively the enforcer of the team, the locker room, and got him going to lead us to one of the greatest seasons of all time. That one slip, Sam, Bob Greasy, another legend at Purdue, they came to Ann Arbor and they beat Michigan by a single point. Michigan went for two to try to win the game. They were a yard away from a national championship, this great team. But this man, if I could share a little more about him off the field, many of you got to know him through this show. You know that, right? He was on Fantastic Friday. But some of you are out there watching those old alumni games. Remember when the players used to have that game? And you're like, who is that old man, number 82, playing free safety out there? He was the oldest guy participating in the alumni game for so often. I remember he told me a story. Someone said, hey, old man, what are you doing on the field? And he told the young buck, go sit down. He said, I always start. That's what he told him. That's the kind of guy he was. Off the field, like I said, larger than life. The biggest voice in the room, the loudest laugh, knew how to have fun. He elevated you. He made you feel like family. He had amazing charm, a fantastic storyteller. Go to mvictors.com and you'll hear the story of that 1964 team. kind enough to sit with me and tell that story. And we love this place so much, Michigan. We love the wins, we love the losses. We follow these great teams and coaches. Ultimately, though, it comes down to people like this. We throw the word family around so much. We use the word Michigan man all the time. Those people, those individuals are the foundation of what this place is. And Jim Conley, Captain Conley, Butch to some of us, truly embodied that. And by the way, it didn't just extend to his personality. He was charitable. I happen to know his family donated and endowed, money back to the athletic department. He gave back. He was a huge part and is a huge part of this community. Gone, Sam, but never forgotten.
Great tribute, Dooley, and you're right. I think that's one of the lasting memories for a lot of fans, at least those who would make it out to spring games, was seeing him, like you said, the oldest guy out there running around at the spring game. But he would be out there. It's like, man, who is that guy? And it would be Captain Con.
You couldn't but notice him. Again, we think of players from the 60s and 50s of being smaller in stature. No, wrong. This was a big man. He was a defensive end for the team. They played both ways back then. If I could just share a favorite memory, when he told me all these stories about the 64 team, they did go down and they beat Woody. This is, of course, before Bo and Columbus. And that earned their trip to the Rose Bowl that year, in which, of course, they won. But after the game, the team gave Captain Conley the ball. They gave him the game ball. What else do you have to know? I mean, at the pinnacle of his team, the team that he led, he also, I happen to know, wrote a letter to the players during that summer, and it says something about his personality. And the tone of the letter was light in the beginning, have fun, but hey, we're about to get to work. But then near the end of it, he said, hey, I know some of you came out of spring practice, basically. He's saying you weren't happy with where you stood in the roster. He says there will be plenty of opportunity to play at every position. He says no one has it made, and some who think they do better wake up in a hurry. That's the kind of guy he was. He changed the culture here at Michigan, and if you want to go historically, how do you think Bump loaded up the cupboard with all the great recruits he got following that season, leading into Bump's exit, Bo's arrival in 1969? It started with the 64 team, and it was led undoubtedly by a man who I will miss very much, my man Butch, my man Captain Conley. I hope everyone got to know a little bit more about this man. If you want more, there's more out there. He's a great one. We will celebrate his life and never forget him. And by the way, he's a permanent fixture in my history of college athletics class because my students read the story of the 64 team, and we talk about Captain Conley and all his stories and fun he had. And so he will never be forgotten, Sam.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Dooley, and for that great tribute to Captain Jim Conley.